did was suggest we go to the Blue Whale and have a few laughs and look at you. You'd think it was the end of the world.
Maybe it is, Carol.
Don't they know it's the end of the world? Can't do much of that or I'll get sued. All right. I am so excited for today's recordings, folks, because, well, two reasons. First of all, I've gotten some great feedback from you all on the last batch of episodes, and I get to share that with the rest of you, but also because we're going to get into the 20s today. So this is episode 19 of Dark Shadows. I am Joel Sharpton, one half of the Articulate Coven. I've been rewatching this entire series from the beginning. Super excited to do it. There's a bunch of episodes, 1,200 or so, in fact. Two things that I wanted to comment on for some feedback real quick. So first of all, this is from Holly Van Way, 9294 on YouTube. Thanks, Holly. Holly's been watching a lot of these. They said, I grew up in the 60s, and dancing back then was mostly just swaying from one side to the other and sort of bouncing around the floor. Lots of improv. I remember buying the Dark Shadows album, and one of the songs on it was called Number One at the Blue Whale, that being a generic instrumental tune played endlessly in these early episodes. Expect to hear it often when Carolyn goes out for drinks. Okay, so this is one of my answers, or one of my questions actually, from episodes after what Holly was commenting on there. So thank you, Holly, for the answer to that. I asked, I think, in one of the very recent, in either 17 or 18 maybe, I asked the question, hey, somebody that was watching this originally, are these episodes actually using the original music that you heard, or are they using something else? Some licensed tune. There's the answer. They're using the original music, and it was written for the show, basically. It was sort of licensed from the beginning so that they wouldn't have to pay for it. Thanks for that. Lake Phillip says, and this is commenting on, I had asked a question about, like, hey, why all of the gaffes? Like, were they literally just doing this in one take and going? Lake Phillips says there are several books by Catherine Lee Scott on the production. It was rare for them. It happened only 2 times in 1,225 episodes where they couldn't air. They had no idea we'd be watching them 60 years later, of course. MPI Video owns the video rights and syndicates to Amazon and Tubi. Lake Phillips says they own the Coffin edition of the complete series. At the beginning of every disc, MPI plays a disclaimer that they think airing the episodes as broadcast is more important than editing anything. Strongly agree with that. I think that's so cool. Most famously, episode 1219 is a reconstruction of a thought-lost episode. So maybe we'll find that in the end. I know that's happened to a couple of Doctor Who episodes. Thanks so much for that, Lake Phillip. But that answers the question. Yes, they really were. They were shooting these like effectively live to tape and running and going. As to that point, Stephanie Hensley, one of our patrons, thank you, Stephanie, for making these videos possible. They say this is in the Dark Shadows trivia on IMDb. Due to the grueling 5 shows a week schedule, the expense and difficulty of video editing in those days, most scenes were shot in a single take. Actors and actresses routinely flubbed their lines and searched for the teleprompter. Set pieces collapsed, props malfunctioned, crew members walked into shots, microphones and secondary cameras got in the way, and it all wound up being preserved because the production team figured each episode would only be seen one time. And of course they did. Like, they never could have imagined that this show was going to be like what was streaming. You couldn't have even imagined the concept of streaming. Yeah. All right. Anyway, here we go, folks. This is episode 19. Let's get into it.
So much has happened since I first set foot in Collinwood.
I mean, I don't know that so much has happened. It is strange how things have already begun to pick up the pace, though, just in the last 3 or 4 episodes. I do love that the clock has already ticked like 3 different ways in the show so far. Nice robe, Vicky. God, that's still not Vicky. That's Elizabeth. I don't know if I'm ever going to get these names 100% right, folks. I'm going to take it just like they do. I'm taking these things in one take. It is a nice robe, though, Elizabeth.
Hello?
Liz, this is Bill. Did I disturb you?
No, I haven't been able to sleep.
I think that might have been the first time in the show that we've heard the other end of a phone call like that from the other person's perspective. We heard it through the phone, sort of.
Carolyn's not going to do anything foolish, and you know it.
I don't believe we do know it, Bill. I don't believe we do know that Carolyn's not going to do anything foolish. See, okay. The last time that we heard it chime, we heard it do the long run up to the hour chime. That do 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 do. You know, it plays a little song with the chimes, and then it chimes the hour. None of that this time. I love that it's so inconsistent. Weak cold open, in my opinion. Not a great one. Not one of their stronger ones. That theme music rips though. Ooh, Sam looking worse for wear. Been a long day at the office for Sam.
You ever been to London, Bill?
Once, before I started working for Liz Starter, there was a long, long time ago.
Quick side story. I had a friend in high school who learned to like warm beer. He'd carry around a 6-pack or a 12-pack under the seat of his truck, and he would drink one from time to time while we were out and about. And everybody would always ask, "Hey, can I borrow a beer?" He'd go, "Oh, yeah." And then he'd hand it to him. And it's like not just room temperature, but warm, actively warm, being in the car. Nobody wanted his beers, is my point.
Burke Devlin went to prison, and he blames the people in Collinwood.
What's that got to do with my portrait?
It's got to do with why you're telling.
I like Bill Malloy.
For Pete's sake, Carolyn, don't you think I have the right to be sore?
Well, you think I committed some sort of crime.
Come on, let's sit down. You want a cheeseburger?
Listen, women are not possessions. Men don't own them. Joe Haskell is owed nothing. Except good treatment. Like, the two of them are dating. The two of them did go on a date together. And then she did treat him badly. Basically invited Burke Devlin, which it's clear Joe Haskell does not like, on the date too. Like, not cool, my man.
All I did was suggest we go to the Blue Whale and have a few laughs and look at you. You'd think it was the end of the world.
Maybe it is, Carol.
Don't they know it's the end of the world? Can't do much of that or I'll get sued.
I have to get over to the restaurant to pick up my daughter when she gets off duty.
Again, I ask, why does the drunk pick up the daughter from work every day? I do not. I mean, I guess Maggie could drive home from there, but like, what are we doing?
Did you make your phone call?
Yeah.
Man, I made fun of Matthew the other day, the caretaker for Collinswood, about the way that he says, yep, yep. But they all do it, apparently. All the men in the Northeast over 40 sound, yep.
Now, look, I bought you a beer that entitles me to something.
No, it don't.
15 cents.
Boy, inflation will hit you hard, won't it? I never paid 15 cents for a beer in a bar. I never paid 15 cents for a beer, period. I guess the cheapest... that's not true. I suppose there were a few times when I was in college where the place would do Drinking with Lincoln, where you could get a pitcher of beer, you know, whatever their cheapest beer was. You could get a pitcher for a penny.
Well, look, it's getting late. If I'm supposed to pick up Maggie, I better get over to the restaurant. I'll see you later, huh? See you, buddy.
I was short-handed. Maggie went home sick.
It's funny. I was just going to say, we're going to get one of my transitions where we transition into Maggie. No, Maggie has a day off, actually.
You know that.
I love you, Joe Haskell.
Burke Devlin, it's somebody else, anybody. It always seems
really
to happen
is.
when I talk about getting married.
That has nothing to...
Yeah, it does, Carolyn.
Sweetheart, I can't keep on being good old Joe, hanging around the sidelines, waiting for you to come bounding back to me. Got a little too much pride for that.
You are nobody's second choice, friend.
Could you bring me a cup of coffee?
Joe don't work here.
What do you want me to say? That I'm sorry?
Yes?
And then you get yourself some sleep.
I will. Thank you, Bill, for everything.
Sure thing. Good night.
Man, I feel pretty confident that we eventually go back in time, but I think that's like way back in time. I wonder if we ever get to see young Elizabeth Stoddard. young Elizabeth Collins, even before she got married. She really must have been something. All these guys would just they'd jump through hoops for her, won't they?
I wish you'd never come back.
The cheapest doors in daytime television. If you have just started watching recently, you don't know. I despise these front doors to this house. I don't know why the front doors of your set are so cheaply made. Like, they so clearly rattled. They're so obviously thin plywood, like, I don't know if that's what they were doing at the time. We would have made them with plywood by the time I was around making sets. Anyway, you can make plywood better than that. Ha!
I'm sorry about
Camera, I mean, the mic boom. You can see the mic boom in the camera shot there in the shadows. Love it.
Nothing I can do. I'll just be getting on home, I guess.
No, Joe, I'd like you to stay. I want to talk to you. Are you sure that Carolyn went to the Blue Whale because she knew Devlin was there?
Yes.
Yes?
And how did she act towards him?
Too damn friendly.
Mother, he's not here.
What?
Uncle Roger, he's not in his room. He hasn't been to bed at all.
Oh, that's right. I forgot all about it. He went out with Victoria. He took Victoria to the hotel to confront Burke. I forgot all about it.
Uncle Roger's brakes failed, and it was no accident, Carolyn.
Do you think Burke had anything to do with that?
Yes.
I don't believe it.
See, I love it. Why don't you just always have them open and close the door offset? Oh, now that it occurs to me, that was probably the door to the drawing room, not the front door. Dang.
He's not worth it. Believe me, he's not worth it.
Oh, Carolyn's new boyfriend is a bad guy. Oh. All right. Good start to this little run here. Lots of good drama, lots of good character scenes in this episode. I appreciate that. Thanks everybody again for the feedback. I hope you're enjoying these. If you're watching these on YouTube, you've got 18, 19, 20. No, is that right? 19, 20, 21 today up on YouTube. But if you're a patron already today on our Patreon, you've got 22, 23, 24. Is that right? Yes. There you go. So go and check those out for $2 a month or more at articulatecoven.com/join. $2 a month or more gets you access to all of our content early and ad-free. And sometimes with these YouTube videos, we have to edit down our reactions a little bit tighter than we do on Patreon to make them work for YouTube. So, all right, there you go. Thanks for that. We'll be back in just a few minutes with episode 20. 20! Can you believe it?